Oh my God. But that's how they break open their food.
And not brown. And so...
Yeah!
Up again, get the video!
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Off the Grid Ocean Adventures. Today we got a special episode for you because you guys saw us catching sheephead the other day, right? We caught a couple of these nice looking sheepheads and a couple of the wrasses. And I'm gonna show you my personal favorite way of making these fish, which is steamed fish Chinese style. And I'm gonna give you guys a quick introduction of these fish. The California sheephead is actually a local species that are residents here. I just showed you a rock that we caught this at. You can actually see it from my house, so it's like my backyard. But in essence, these fish are scientifically what they call I'm gonna get this wrong, but protogynous hermaphrodite, which means they actually change sex. They're born female, so they're born, when they're juveniles, they're almost pinkish in color, almost a peach color. And then when they grow to maturity, to breeding maturity, the females, actually all of them are female, turn brown. And then when they become male, at a certain time of their lifespan, it becomes black in the head, red in the center, and black in the tail. We'll show you a photo of that as well. But tonight, we're gonna give you guys a lesson, or actually it's not a lesson, it's just showing you guys a recipe of how to make Chinese steamed fish. Now, this particular species of fish for Americans and Westerners are kind of a mushy meat, but for the Asians, they love it because it is actually perfect for steaming. And if you ever go to like a Chinese restaurant and you get steamed fish, it tastes so good. That's because this fish particularly eats crustaceans in general. So we catch them with shrimp, they eat mussel. If you have like uni or like sea urchin, you crack them under the ocean, you open it up, all these fish come and gather around because that's really what they eat. That's their natural food. So imagine, you are what you eat, right? So this fish actually tastes like scallops and crustaceans if you cook it right. Now when we steam it, it becomes really light and flaky, and it has a really mild texture. It goes perfect with the rice. And with all these ingredients, very simple. It's just ginger, green onions, cilantro, a little bit of the red pepper for garnishing, and the sauce is actually made from its own steamed juice with chicken broth and some oyster sauce and a little bit of sake. The sake goes in, it just takes out that little bit of fishy flavor. So for the people who really are into Asian food, you gotta try this out. Now this is another species of fish. I don't want to forget, this is a local wrasse. This is pretty big for this size, for this particular species of fish. So yeah, so that's why we kept it, and we're gonna steam them as well. Because they're in the wrasse family, you're gonna be able to see that their teeth are actually very sharp. That's because that's what they use to break open the mussels and whatever crustaceans that they eat. And look at the jaws on this guy. Oh, sorry. But you can see they literally have, oh my gosh. What is that? So they literally have like a parrot's jaw. Look at those teeth. Pretty gnarly, but that's how they break open their food. Okay, with that being said, this particular fish we're gonna start to process now. Okay, so we just brought all the food from over that table to the countertop to this countertop. So we showed you where we caught the fish earlier, out in the rocks out there. We actually caught 4 fish. So what we're gonna do with this one, because it's so big, it's actually too big for that pot. So because this pan is not gonna fit, we're gonna cook the small one. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna make, with this one, a bone broth. Have you guys heard of that before? The bone broth is actually very nutritious, very, I don't know how to say this, but it's like it cures a lot of different things. So gut health and good skin, and you'll flourish with it. Anyways, so we're gonna use this fresh fish to make bone broth with. Bone broth is gonna be excellent. We'll show you that in a later episode, so stay tuned, okay? Don't go away.
And it won't be too long because this is a fresh fish, and fresh fish won't keep too long. So we're gonna make this for you very soon. So fresh fish, that's a very interesting topic. Everybody goes, how do you know a fish is fresh? Well, take a look at this. It is beautiful. Look at the eyes. It's still clear. Look at these eyes. These eyes are like, I mean, if you know how to pick out a fresh vegetable, you know how to pick out a good fish. Look at how shiny everything is. The blood is actually red and not brown. And so we're gonna show you with this how to finish cleaning it, because you're gonna need a pair of shears, and these fish are kind of tough, so we can actually use this to cut all the little parts and pieces that you don't want out of here. Now this one is actually kind of tough. Here, I'll show you why in a second. It's actually because this guy in his throat has a pair of, ouch, what we know as gizzards in chicken language. And I'll show you as soon as I finish cutting this off. It is because, you see those bones right there? There's actually a couple bones. Actually, I have a better one to show you. This is from the smaller fish. And you see those two little white bones right there? That's like extra teeth that work inside their throat. And it's like a gizzard. What it does is it crushes all the shells of the crustaceans that they eat so they can swallow it better. And you know what, another interesting fact is the poop of this fish is actually what makes coral reefs. So, or sand actually. They take the coral reef and chew it up. Again, the big dentures, right? Then the gizzards get through it, bypasses their intestines, and they poop out sand. That's how we get fresh, white, sandy beaches. Thank you for the wrasse fish. So we showed you that we actually process 90% of the fish on the harbor. And see that piece of scale right there? There's still a little bit left that needs to be processed. So instead of using a pair of shears, what we'll do is use a household utensil that everybody has. There's actually scalers that you can buy out there, but you don't need to. You just take a knife and then you finish scaling it. So we know that the fish is pretty thick, right? So in order for it to cook all the way through, we're gonna what we say score it. So we're just gonna score it. There's some more scales right there. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna score it like this. Now that it's scored, it's actually ready to go in the pot. Okay, so I peeled some ginger. I mean, I don't need to tell you guys how to use a peeler to peel ginger, so I saved you that time. There's still some rinds around it, some little bit of skin, but what you can do is, like, if you see a little piece of skin like that, you can just like shave it off, you know? You don't have to peel it, because there's nooks and crannies to the ginger that you don't see that way. And the reason why I am cutting now is because my wife actually admitted she didn't know how to cut this one because of the way the shape. She's Japanese, by the way, so not very completely 100% knowing how to cut this the Chinese way. So she asked me to cut it, which is fine. If you guys don't know me by now, I'm all about functionality. So this is not going to look exactly pretty, but what you do is you want to just slice it into little really thin pieces. How's that for a sous chef? Did I pass? Okay, so then we're gonna cut some bigger pieces right here. I'm not too worried about the skin because this is what we're gonna use to cook with that fish, okay? So see how they're bigger pieces? And so this is actually where the ginger actually really comes in, because that's gonna be put inside the fish, under the fish, and around the fish when we cook it. That's plenty of ginger right there. And now we're ready to cook. Woo! Now we're gonna move on over here and start cooking our fish. So what you want to do is you want to have a plate that's going to sustain the fish above the boiling water line, and the fish is going to go on top of it, and then we can start steaming. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a cup and get some water. Put the bowl on top of it, and we're gonna lay the fish. This. Inside cavity. High heat. And here is where we can put a little bit of sake. It could be any brand you want. And then we're just gonna splash a little bit of it around. And that's good enough. We're gonna make a little broth that's gonna go over the fish, and then the last part is the sizzling part that you're gonna want to wait for. So any brand, doesn't have to be this brand. A little bit. You don't have to have too much. I don't know. That's probably like a quarter cup or so. And you're gonna want the oyster sauce. Kiam Lee is like the known brand, but there's other ones out there that I'm sure that you guys can find that's also going to be delicious. I kind of just like make it to taste, so I'm not really like measuring anything. So here's the tricky part: is you want to clear everything of the cooked ginger and green onions, and somehow pleasantly place it on this plate here. So I'm not saying I'm great at doing this, but here we go. So we have 2 utensils. Right. To shall we will. Fish are ready to go. So next I'm going to take some of this fish juice and put it in the sauce. I think it will make the sauce that much more authentic.
And the umami. This is all the umami. I don't know how to say that in Chinese, but. So next we're going to pour some of this umami sauce on top of the fish that we just made. Okay, so this is the last part. Here's some garnish. Let's make it look pretty. I actually like it really. Just thin slices. That's really all we need. They looking for fish? The last part of this whole puzzle is going to be oil. And this oil, you want it just enough, not too much. That's about right. And we want to heat it up to as hot as possible without burning your house down. Okay, you guys can tell the oil is actually very like viscous or whatever that thing is, but it's very watery. And you'll see a little bit of steam coming out right here, and that's good enough. So we're gonna take this and shut this heat off. Ooh, see all that heat coming up? And watch this. Here's the sizzle. Here's the sizzle. Here we go. Yeah, baby. We're gonna eat. So this is our version of Ocean to Table, and I am gonna have a bite of this. So if you don't mind me, a little sauce, some cilantro, and oh my god, it's so soft, so tender and moist. Guys, there's sauce. Put it with the rice. Makes the rice really good. Thank you for watching. Tight lines. Till next time. Here's the bloopers, guys. We actually undercooked the fish. Should give it 13 minutes, 15 minutes. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna cook it its own sauce now, and it's gonna taste delicious regardless. And there's some leftovers for you guys.